welcome to one of the most exciting lessons in this course. We're going to be creating an awesome space scene with After Effects, and I'm going to show you from A to B, A to Z how to do it. So this is what it's going to look like. We're going to have our Earth zooming in with the moon rotating around it once. I mean, we can do it as many times as we want, and with the stars twinkling in the background. So let us begin. So first we're going to start a new composition. We'll call this star field, and we're going to use what we learned earlier with the CC starburst effect. So I'm going to just create a new solid. We'll call this stars. Then I'm going to add CC starburst to it. I'm going to basically change this so that the stars are smaller. Grid spacing will go to 2, how about? And we'll do the size 50. I'm also going to add a fractal noise effect. The reason I'm going to do that is this is a great way to create twinkling stars. So if we set a keyframe at the start for evolution and at the end, and then just rotate a little bit, we can have some twinkling stars. First, we want to change the speed of our CC starburst to 0, so this isn't, we're not zooming through the space-time continuum. So here you can kind of see that the stars are twinkling, and we can make it a little bit faster. So I'm going to go to this last keyframe and rotate it even more, the evolution, and it's hard for you to see, I'm sure, but these stars are twinkling as you go through this. So there we have our star field. I'm going to next we want to create this animation of the Earth and the Moon. So I'm going to start a new composition, Earth and Moon. We'll call it Earth and Moon 2. I downloaded a couple images online of the Earth. You can find a ton of great images for free use from NASA. They have, I think all of their images are public domain, but make sure you double check that. So I just put this Earth in the middle of our composition like so. Then I'm going to put our moon in and decrease the size, and maybe increase the size of the Earth a little bit. And so the moon we'll put at 7%, so that looks about right. First I want to increase the brightness of this moon, so I'm just going to use a quick brightness and contrast effect added to our moon so that we can brighten it up a little bit. So it looks more along the lines of the Earth. Maybe we'll add a little bit more contrast to our Earth, make it look a little bit more dynamic. Alright, so basically what we're going to want to do is make this moon spin around this Earth. And the way we do that is by using 3D positioning. So first we want to use toggle switches to bring up our enable 3D option. Click on that cube. Then press P to bring up our position function. And this is the easiest way to create an object rotating around another object. So first we want to set our first keyframe. So we're just going to set it at the very middle of our Earth, or as close to possible as it. So we're going to set a keyframe there. Then you have to determine how long you want each rotation to be. So say we want the full rotation to be 4 seconds. We will go to 2 seconds. And actually before we do that, we want to go back to where our first keyframe is, and we want our moon to be in front of our Earth in 3D space. So we're going to make this the Z positioning at -100. Let me just show you something really cool that you can do. You can use this camera tool by clicking the camera, and first you have to add a camera to it. So we're just going to add a camera so that we can actually rotate our composition, and you can see where the moon is in terms of positioning in Z space to our Earth. So as you can see, it's still flat. Our image is still flat, but it has some 3D space to it. So our moon and Earth aren't 3D, but our composition is in 3D. So then we're going to go to 2 seconds, and halfway through our composition, where should the moon be? Well, it should be about at the same position, but behind the Earth now. So now we're just going to make this 100. So now if we take our camera, we will see that our moon is behind the camera. And from 0 to 2 seconds, the moon just goes straight back. So now we want it to go around rather than just straight through. So if I render this out, you will see that it's just going straight through. But now we want it to rotate around. So at 1 second, we're going to move our moon. I'm just using my shift and the arrow keys to the outside of our Earth. And so there we have from 0, as we go a long time, it goes up and out, and then it goes back around. And so let me render this out. So we have the start of our rotation around Earth. And I like doing it kind of at a tilted axis rather than just straight around. It adds a little bit, it just makes it a little bit more dynamic. And then we go to 3 seconds and do the same thing but opposite. So we're going to go out and down to the left. Make sure. Something like that. So now we have most of our animation done already. And if we take our camera again, we can see how this is working. And you can see the path of our moon. So you see our moon starts, it goes around, and then it continues. So then we want it to end up at the starting point again. So we're going to go to 3 or 4 seconds and just copy and paste this first keyframe to complete the full rotation. So there you have the full rotation of our composition. We can look at it from above and see it's actually not a perfect circle. So what we can do is go to these different keyframes and kind of move them. So we want to make this 0, so it's along the lines of the Earth. Right here on this keyframe, we'll make it 0 as well. So it goes from, in the Z space, -100 in front of the Earth to 0 with the Earth on the side, then 100 behind the Earth, 0 to the left of the Earth, then in front of the Earth again. Now let's render this and make sure it looks nice. And it sure does. One thing we can do is select all of our keyframes, right click them, go to keyframe interpolation, and this temporal interpolation, it affects how a property changes over time in the timeline. Linear means that it just goes straight from one keyframe to the next, and there's no basically curve to it, there's no smoothness to it. So we're going to change this to continuous Bezier. Click OK. So now it makes these curves a little bit more round, as you can see. So if I took this off, let's look at it from above. Now let's select all these keyframes. Go to keyframe interpolation, continuous Bezier. And it makes them a little bit more round, and you can even change the roundness of these by making it stretching out these points. Make it more of a circle around, or it look more really like an oval around our Earth. So this is actually the back of our Earth, so we want to go to the front. So now let's render it out. Now we have our Earth spinning around our moon. So how do we have it continue to spin? We'll just copy and paste these last 4 keyframes, go to 5 seconds, paste them, go to 9 seconds, paste them. And this means that this will allow it to just continue to spin for more than one rotation. Okay, so now we have our Earth and Moon. Let's go back to our star field, how we created, go to our project. We're going to drop in our Earth and Moon 2 composition, just right there like that. So now our Earth and Moon are in our star field. So that's really cool like that. Now let's just add a little bit of a zoom to this. So we're just going to use scale. You can use a 3D camera as well, but scale is perfectly fine as well. So we just increase the percentage 115 to 116% by the end of this. And there you have it. This nice zoom in on our Earth. We got the moon rotating. Maybe what we want to do is at the very end, zoom past the Earth. So we set our keyframe at 7 seconds. I just moved it. And then right here, we just want to zoom past it. Maybe actually what I want to do first is set a position keyframe right here, so that we have a position and scale scale keyframe at 7 seconds, and then at 8 seconds we'll just increase the size so it looks like we're zooming past, and then move out of the way so the camera is going to the side of our Earth and not right through it. There we have our Earth coming in at us slowly, and then zooms over to the side. Oh, and then we still see our moon rotating. That's pretty cool. Of course, the quality of these images, you'll have to use different larger size compositions so that the quality is good for the Earth and the moon. But you get the idea. Maybe even if we just delete these, actually move this position keyframe to the start of our composition with our other scale keyframe, and we just delete the other ones. You know, here we have our camera zooming through space. So that is a basic effect that you can do using some basic layers, some 3D positioning, and some cool star effect preset. Thank you for watching, and have a great day, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.